to the stage today to finish us off. Thanks.
Thanks, Gary. Good afternoon. Let me start with a confession, if I can, please. So I, like you, have a career in cybersecurity. I ran sales teams for Symantec and Avast. And Kansas City was a very good market. I ran it nationally for those two companies. And it is highly likely, I recognize some faces, that my sales team, my cybersecurity sales team, called on some of you. And I am so glad that I heeded to my mom's advice when I was very young in business to be nice. Because standing on the stage right now, if I didn't, I'd be in very, very big trouble. So let's begin, let's get started. I would kindly ask everybody, if you would please, just indulge me to please stand up. Please stand up. Please stand up. Yeah, it's a little bit uncomfortable, huh? You want uncomfortability? Be the afternoon keynote on a 3-day conference. I'm that guy. I've done that. So there's people around you, and to at least 2 people in the room, they could be closest to you. I highly recommend that. I'm going to count to 3, and all that I'd like for you to go ahead and do is make the gesture, glad you're here. Glad you're here on 3. And if you're inclined, for the high performers, the motivated people in the room, maybe give a handshake, a fist pump, a pat on the shoulder, but a glad you're here. You guys with me? Yes? Glad you're here, fist pump, handshake, gesture on 3. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Wow. Wow. I'm so impressed. Give yourselves a round of applause. Give yourselves a round of applause. So I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey today. And I don't want to, I know again I'm the afternoon keynote, and Gary, thank you so much for scheduling the cocktail hour and hors d'oeuvres after this. Otherwise, the room would be maybe half full. I'm just kidding. But I just want to accomplish really one thing with you. I want to change your lens. The way you see hardship, adversity, pain, suffering, because that exercise we just did, and this is a rhetorical question, did that make you somewhat uncomfortable? Comfort and greatness cannot coexist. Comfort and greatness cannot coexist. And I'm not defining greatness as achieving your life's ambition or maybe stopping a massive cyber attack or a phishing attempt. That's not how I'm defining greatness here. Greatness in the year 2024 can be giving of yourself when you have nothing left to give. And so the gesture, glad you're here, in my book, is greatness. So I'm going to take you on a journey. I want to cover a few points. I'm going to wrap them in 3 stories. And what I want are open minds. And if you could please, give me your benefit of the doubt, because I guarantee that you will leave with something at the end of this keynote that maybe you didn't have before, or maybe you did. A while ago, my wife and I were celebrating our 1-year anniversary. You know what it's like to be married 1 year. Once you hit that 1-year mark in marriage, the rest is all downhill, right? Yes? We're living in Miami at the time, in South Florida, and we were young, exciting time, very much in love. And so we went to the Miami Boat Show. And as the brilliant 20-somethings that we were, we made the sound, financial, wise decision to purchase a boat. Finance thing. It was a 20-odd something boat. But it was a treat to ourselves. And hey, I was the hero among my other husband friends. Like, wow, your wife actually agreed to that? Yes, my wife Desiree agreed to that. Some of the best times of our lives. The dealer that we bought the boat from ran these excursions. And if you've ever been down to Miami, the Bahamian Islands, the closest one, is only 50 miles off the coast of Florida. And so we decided to go to this excursion. And they organized about 30 or so boats. And I remember this vividly. We wake up, we hop on our boat, and it was a Friday morning, and we're dressed in our nice Hawaiian shirts and packed and ready to go, super excited. The weather looked okay. And as we're pulling up to the staging, the waiting area, if you've ever been out on a cruise out of Miami, there's a jetty called Government Cut. And so the boats were kind of waiting just outside the jetty ready to go. And we were running late, so we were one of the last ones to get there. As we're arriving, I start looking at the boats. There's about 25 or 30 of them, and I'm like, that's our group? These weren't boats. These were like yachts and mega yachts. I mean, our boat arguably could fit on the back of some of these boats. And we're gonna go make this crossing to the Bahamas. I asked my wife, she's like, I'm with you, hon, let's go. So Captain Manny, who is leading our 30-boat flotilla over to the Bahamas, lines us all up, and I tuck us in like near the front because I wanted to be safe. And we leave, and within the first 15 minutes, we get a little bit of drizzle, a little bit of weather, and shortly after that, water over the bow. It was like a wave in my wife's and my face. We were completely doused. So goes the Hawaiian shirts. We're doused. A minute after, again, wave. I look at my wife. We keep going? Let's keep going. 20 minutes, there's an hour and a half crossing. We're now 30 minutes into this crossing. Captain Manny's like, stay with it. It's a small cell. It'll get better. It wasn't getting better. It was getting rough. And the thing that I started seeing is that these big yachts that I mentioned to you started turning around. 1, 2, 5, 10. All of a sudden, our 30-boat flotilla was down to about 20. Captain Manny again, stay with it. This is a storm and it will pass. Started getting worse. I see 5 more boats peel off. I ask my wife, do we keep going? This is your idea, honey. Let's keep going. I don't want to say no. Kudos to my wife. The waves got to 3, 4, 7 feet. After that event, I became a boat captain, so I became pretty experienced. And we saw another boat peel off. We were down to 10 boats. Now I couldn't keep up. And I looked back, I couldn't see land. I looked forward, I couldn't see land. And the rain was so bad that I even couldn't see the boat in front of me. And my ego, because I had to start pulling back, I couldn't keep up. My ego, you know what ego stands for? There's 2. As a cradle Catholic, edging God out. For non-Catholics, edging good out. My ego would not allow me to get on the radio and say, Captain Manny, can you slow down? I didn't want to do that. And we're still getting beat up. My wife's like, call Manny, tell him to slow down. So I call Manny, Captain Manny, to slow down. I get no response. Captain Manny, this is the vessel Ambitious Desire. That was the name of our boat. Slow down. Nothing. You know the thing with small boats? You know what they come with? Small antennas. And I couldn't reach them. I could not reach them. So all that I had, my GPS was out. The water consumed my main radio, so now I'm now to a handheld. I couldn't see anything. My wife and I started praying, and I just said, you know what? I just got to stay on a heading of 272 degrees and hope I make it, because you know what? We're now 2 hours into an hour-and-a-half trip, and I'm now low on fuel. I call again, Captain Manny, this is the vessel Ambitious Desire. And then about 10 seconds later, I hear, Ambitious Desire, this is the vessel Sea Express. We're behind you and we see you on our radar. Maintain your speed, I'll catch up to you. And about 5 minutes later, a beautiful, most beautiful sight, besides my wife, we ever saw, was this boat that came behind us called Sea Express. And about 30 minutes later, the weather just totally opened up. It was blue water, 2 Bahamians on a boat saying, "Welcome to the Bahamas, man." We pulled into port. My wife, first thing, ran over to Sea Express to thank them. The 2 owners of that boat became the godparents to our firstborn, Jonathan. And coincidentally, my son now is 17 years old. He wants to serve in the Navy. Go figure. Fast forward 15 years later. 15 years later. That adversity that we felt on our tiny boat, believe it or not, it was one of the scariest moments of our lives, because the water was just so high. And the thing that I reflected on is that I was reliant on Captain Manning to tell me that things would get better, that the storm will pass. And what I've learned is I've grown is that we have to be the ones that say to ourselves that this too will pass. Because I don't know if you know this, but there are 3 sizes of adversity. Did you guys know this? 3 sizes. It's almost like you can order them up in a drive-thru. 3 sizes. 1 is the everyday struggle. Maybe you had a long commute. Maybe you didn't get the right Starbucks order, your latte was wrong. Maybe you had a little slight argument with your spouse. That's the everyday struggle. Size 2 is the temporary setback. Maybe a colleague lost their job. Maybe your son or daughter didn't get into the college of their dreams. Maybe you had a slight health setback. Number 3 is the permanent life-changing event, and that's pretty much self-explanatory. Let me talk about this, the 3rd size. So 15 years later, our cybersecurity sales team just met their number in October, for the year in October. We crushed it, 3 quarters in a row. We were the best performing team in the country. Also, the Kansas City buyers were great buyers. DLP, CASB, endpoint protection, I can go on and on. I digress. And so I wanted to take the team out. It was November. I wanted to take the team out for a celebratory lunch and then give them a Friday off after. They worked nights, weekends, spent time away from their families to make it, and we were assured to hit our number for the year. But that dinner, that lunch was bittersweet for me, because I was only a few weeks away from resigning. My best friend from college, my bestie. Think about your bestie from school. Sorry, I'm Gen X, I'm using a Gen Z term. Best friend. We had met at the Hotel Intercontinental downtown about a month prior. He was building his 2nd company, and he needed a right hand. And this was my opportunity to go to do something that I really, really believed in with my best friend. I mean, you know your best friend. His name was Kevin. He's about 6'4", 220 in college. Imposing person. And he built his first company, and he asked me to join him 8 years to the date prior, and I turned him down. Scaled it to multi-millions. In college, we just did everything together. Had friendships, dated. I didn't have 2 dimes to scrape together in college, so he would treat me to the Tuesday night Chinese buffet. You know, we had to escape that college food. And we made it to that buffet 3 times, and 3 times only. Because the third time we were there, just to describe who this guy is, he was coming back to the table. It's a true story. He was on his 6th or 7th plate of ribs, pork buns, and fried rice. And as he's sitting down, a gentleman is walking over. Gentleman is about 5'5", apron, black pants, and he steps up to our table, looks at Kevin, and says, "Look, you don't come back here, you eat too much." He said this. Kevin's response? "Well, do you think I can get this to go?" That was Kevin. Who would not want to work for a guy like that? So I was excited, my wife was excited, our wives knew each other, our kids knew each other. You know, think about it, we were just friends, we weren't family, and we gave up a Thanksgiving and Easter with our family so our 2 families could spend it together. He lived in Indianapolis. He came there one year, he came to Kansas City next year. I'm getting ready to leave. It's around noon on that Thursday. And I get a phone call. And it's a very close friend between Kevin and myself. And I pick up the phone, and I said, "Hello?" And he said, "Hey, Chris, it's Carl." I'm like, "Hey, Carl. How are you?" It's about 3 seconds of silence, like, I don't know, Chris. And those 3 words, "I don't know," I sensed that something was very wrong. And so, okay, he's like, "Kevin died." What? What do you mean? Car accident. I'm like, "When?" "This morning." I'm like, and then I blurted out something like, "Well, how are Stacy and the kids?" I'm like, "Of course, how are Stacy and the kids?" That was just a dumb question, but when you're shocked, hit with news like that, you don't know how to respond. So my next words were, "Carl, I'm getting on a plane. I'll see you tonight." I left the office, got home, and my daughter was home, and Kevin had a daughter the same age. She saw my face. She was too young to know what was going on, but I couldn't hold together. I went upstairs. My wife was upstairs. I told her. We cried uncontrollably, and I don't know if you can tell this or not, but I'm not really a man who cries. But this was my best friend and future business partner. I get on a plane. I get to Indianapolis. The house was really full for around midnight. I see Kevin's wife, Stacy. I see his 3 kids. What can you say? I go back to the hotel room, barely sleep. The following morning, I bring Stacy her favorite. So our wives had the same exact order from Starbucks, her favorite Starbucks coffee. As I hand her the coffee, she says to me, "Would you please do the eulogy?" I give a lot of speeches as CEO. Eulogy I never gave. And I can't say that it would be arrogant for me to say that I was grieving anywhere near she was, but this was a dear friend. So I went back to the hotel room, I started writing. And the thing that dawned on me as I was writing was this, which was odd. Kevin's children were roughly the same age as me and my siblings were when my father passed. Around 15, 11, and 4. I looked at it that God was calling. And so I drafted a eulogy. I wanted to share stories with his wife and 3 kids that they would never have really known about. I did inject the Chinese buffet story for sure, and that drew laughter, and laughter is a great medicine for grieving. Got back on the plane, got back to my company, had flowers on my desk, card, and a call from my boss where he said, "Chris, I'm so sorry, but if there's anything that I can do for you, let me know." That is the common thing we all say when somebody's grieving, right? If there's anything that we can do for you, I'll let you know, and we never ask. The issue is that the business was moving on, but I wasn't. So who was going to solve for this? I could blame the car manufacturer. I can blame the wet roads that night that was part of the accident. I could blame God, which I did when my father died, but that doesn't work, and it is not true. So I had to look inside, and I had to figure it out. I had to take personal accountability and figure it out. So I had to dust off a tool that I used 2 previous times when I had a permanent life-changing event. I'll only speak about the first one, which was when my father passed. I'd love for you to participate along with me. All of you have a piece of paper in front of you, yes? Or you can acquire one. And if you're not inclined to do it, this is optional. I just want you to I'm dealing with a lot of smart people in the room, for sure. Some of the best and brightest in an industry for what you guys do. Thank you. I want you to go ahead and draw a circle. Remember the 3 sizes of adversity that I spoke about, the 3 sizes? I want you inside that circle to add a dot for every struggle you've had in the last 24 hours. Every struggle. Be generous. Anything that bothered you. If this keynote bothers you, add that dot. Or could it be a temporary setback? Now I want you to add a bigger dot for a temporary setback that you've had, any temporary setback you've had in the last 24 hours. The thing with the size of adversity, you determine for you what a struggle versus a setback versus a life-changing event is because it's personal to you. No one else can tell you, oh, that's an everyday struggle or that's a temporary setback. You need to determine it. Slightly bigger dot. And lastly, add a dot for any life-changing event you've had in your life. Now, if any of you, I think some of you participated in this, can I ask for your generosity? Would you, if you did, do you mind holding those up so I can see them, maybe face me? Thank you. Thank you. So, you know what I see? This is an actual picture, it's probably about 15, 20 years ago. We have so much capabilities and potential. The way I see adversity and our challenge to overcome it is we have all of these dots. I call them dots of self-doubt. The reason why they create doubt, because we struggle to overcome them. I told my mother one time is that this thing I'm going through, Mom, it is like a pebble in my shoe, a rock in my shoe. You know what she said? Great, move the rock and put it in your pocket and move on. That was my mother. The white space is where we need to operate as humans. That's our capabilities. That's our hope. And the thing about being human is this. There is no one like you that has come before you, and there is no one like you that will come after you. That is an amazing thing, amazing gift that we all have. And that helps us understand and get through past this paralysis of self-doubt and focus on action, capabilities, and moving forward. When I drew this, it's probably the fourth or fifth time that I did, it helped me. It helped me. It helped me move on. I did move on to another company, and that led to me becoming CEO, which was my dream with Kevin. And it eventually happened. It was on God's time, not my time. And that's okay. And that's okay. When I was walking back from the podium at Kevin's funeral, my wife was there, and the first thing I said to her, you know, honey, I have to write this book. I was traveling, at the time, for 5-6 years scaling the first startup. I was on a flight 50 to 60 times a year. Probably like to some of you, many of you. And one 6 a.m. flight out of Kansas City, I just started to write lessons for Jonathan, my son. I had this paranoia that I wanted him to have something in case I wasn't around. And that's where the book started and ended, and I kind of shelved it, excuse me. And as I'm walking back to my wife, I told her, I need to finish this book. I need to write this book. So for 2 years, I wrote and wrote and wrote. And the core of it was the 8 steps that I used and others have used. There's 7 or 8 other people that are in my book that have inspired me, that have done much more than me, have overcome much more than I have, excuse me. I just want to share 2 of those steps with you. Because it's not just about reading and writing the step. Step 1, and you're going to say, Chris, come on, don't be so obvious. Step 1, affirm I'm not a victim. God, Chris, that's so obvious. Hear me out. It's not just reading or reading affirm I'm a victim. I would say it out loud. I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim. And then there was one time where I said, you know what? I need more. I wrote, I'm not a victim on a piece of paper, and I burned it. A colleague of mine wrote it on a piece of paper and buried it. Dr. Maureen Duffy, who is a nationally known psychiatrist who actually wrote the foreword in my book, those actions matter in overcoming pain and suffering. It's a physical action of putting something behind you. Step 2, accept adversity as a necessity. One of my colleagues who I speak with is a Top Gun instructor. You could have hired him, Gary. Great guy. And he will say that there's 2 types of people in this world when it comes to adversity. Those that have and those that will. Let me get to my last story, excuse me. I was mentoring a sales director. He wasn't in cybersecurity, don't worry. And he, much more capable leader than I was, as young as he is, than I am, excuse me. And he was expanding his team, and he was seeking to add five new sales reps. And he had, among his candidate pool, he had one rep that was 5 years junior from the candidate pool and 10 years junior from his existing team. His name was Johnny. And I got a phone call from Steve twice that week about this kid. And I'm like, Steve, I mean, why don't you just hire him? He's like, I like him, but Chris, he doesn't have the experience, he doesn't have the work experience. He doesn't have the know-how. Like, what does he have? Well, he seems pretty gritty. He seems pretty resilient. Like, okay. Well, Steve, if I may, can I just offer this piece of advice? And it's your team. It's your team. But, oh, Chris, yeah, sure. Call Johnny. He's your last hire? He's like, yep, I just need one more. I'm like, okay. Call Johnny up and ask him this question. Ask Johnny to tell you a time when he had to overcome some level of personal or professional adversity, and see where it goes. It's the only question that I will ask in an interview, and those interviews go from 30 minutes to an hour long. It's amazing what people will tell you, and they will usually go to the personal side versus the professional side. He asks the question, Steve calls you back, Chris, I hired him. I'm like, great. Fast forward almost a year later, Steve calls me up. He's like, Chris, you are not gonna believe this story. You are not gonna believe it. So Johnny starts January 1, trains up, learns the product. He starts calling customers in his first 30 days on the job. That was atypical behavior for a new salesperson. Q2, he hits his target. Q3, he crushes his target, his number. Crushes it. He's ranked second in the division. All those folks that were 5, 10 years his senior were behind Johnny. Then 4Q comes. Johnny gets to mid-November, blanking, not one sale. He overextended himself. He made all his sales, and he really didn't have much. And he was at risk of not hitting his target for the year. And Steve, all of Steve's peers were a thumbs down on Johnny because of experience. Steve was the only thumbs up. So now Steve was slightly at risk, right? So Johnny had been calling on several customers, but one in particular, his name was Rick from a company by the name of American Industrial Supply. And Johnny had a meeting with him, and he had to hop on a plane to fly to see him. And so Johnny calls up the day before the meeting, like a good rep, to confirm the meeting. And what happens? Rick tries to postpone. But Johnny said, Rick, and not showing really any desperation, which is brilliant for someone so young in his career. Without showing any desperation, he says, Rick, I know our meeting's at 9 a.m. I have my flight book. I know you're in early. Can I get you at 7:30? Rick loves this hustle. He said, yes, Johnny. So Johnny flies in the night before in a torrential, the plane barely could land. It was circling because the storm was so bad, a torrential downpour. Kind of like Boatgate. He gets to the hotel, wakes up the following morning, 6 a.m., picks up a coffee for Rick and a coffee for his assistant, Rick's assistant. He drives The headquarters is in an industrial park, and he sees Rick's black truck there, beautiful black Denali truck. So he knows Rick is there, 7:15 in the morning, but Johnny has to stop. Why? There's only one way in and one way out, and it's blocked by what? Not a puddle of water, but like a mini pool of water. A mini pool. And Johnny's like, really? This is like, it's like do or die. It's like, he met with Rick already 3 or 4 times that year. He was certain that he can get him to sign and hit it. So what does Johnny do? Anybody want to guess? What's that? Yeah, yes. But remember, Johnny's young. So he's like, I can get through this. So he drives it. And what happens? No, he gets stuck. Halfway through, he gets stuck. So what does Johnny do? Let me see if you guys are going to know where this is going to go, because you're pretty much right. He tries to start the car again, doesn't start. Thinks about it for about 30 seconds. Opens the moonroof on his car. You know where this is going. You know where this is going. Takes off his socks and shoes, rolls up his pants, grabs his bag, throws his socks and shoes in the bag, steps up on the seat, sees his cell phone, grabs his cell phone, puts it in his back pocket, gets on top of the roof of the car. This is a true story. Slides down the car, takes a first step. Here's a plop. What plopped into the water? Cell phone. He's like, that's a casualty of war. I'm pressing on. So Johnny walks through the water. Gets to the front door, composes himself, gets dressed, walks in right at 7:30. No one's there except the owner. Rick hears him. He comes out, and Rick looks at Johnny and says, Johnny, what happened to you? Because he was wet pretty much from the knees down, his hair disheveled, his white shirt had marks on it, pretty much sweated through. He's like, well, Rick, we had an appointment. You were generous enough to meet me at 7:30. No matter what, I wasn't going to miss it. Johnny, what happened? Rick, let me just show you. Walks Rick outside. Rick looks at the car sitting in 2 feet of water, starts belly laughter, uncontrollable laughter. And Johnny's looking at him like, well, what do I do here? Like this guy, like, is he going to sign, yes or no? Look what I've done for you. And Rick says, Johnny, I have 10 of those stories for you when I was building my company. Let's go on back. Gives Johnny the meeting. He repitches the proposal. Johnny signs Rick. True story. And you know what? Maybe across all of his competitors, that empathy that Rick felt for Johnny gave him that extra inch that got him the deal. But it was Johnny's heart and hustle. And so I'm talking with Steve, and he's now getting a little emotional. He said, well, you know, Chris, when Johnny flew back, he told me something that I didn't really get from other of my reps, which I do the same with. I practice this culture management philosophy. I'm like, okay, Rick, what was it? Well, Johnny told me that even whether I was performing or underperforming, Steve, you always had my back, is what Johnny would tell him. You always had my back. You always gave me words of encouragement. Always gave me it created like an infectious positivity, kind of like the glad you're here. We don't say it enough. And so Steve continued, and he said, you know, Chris, I kind of developed a communication method that I've been using with my teams. I'm like, well, okay, Rick, what is it? I mean, or Steve, what is it? And he says, well, I think you'll love it. Because positivity, encouraging words training behavior is just so rare, I created a method to coach up all of my employees. And I think that everybody in this room can use it. And maybe all of you already are. Maybe all of you already are. But most of us, most leaders, most peers, most parents, most coaches, I can go on and on. They stop at recognition. See if I can make this relevant to all of you. Recognition. Great job training our sales team on preventing phishing attacks. Pretty good? Yes? Great job. The problem with recognition is that it focuses on a person's action. The step after that is affirmation. Affirmation focuses on a person's soul. Great job on stopping that phishing attack, Mark. Great job, because I know you spent a couple nights, maybe a weekend, building the training. I know you handled answers and question and answers after that. You really put in an amazing, amazing effort. I bet on you every day of the week and twice on Sunday. That is affirmation. R-A. Recognition, affirmation. And then, scientifically proven, we need to hear things at least 7 times before it sinks in. 7 times before it sinks in. So we need to be reassured. R-A-R, reassurance. Mark, that training you did for the company last week is not lost on me. It means a lot. And then E, that is when we can expect excellence in performance. And that's the example that Johnny is that example. So I plagiarized Steve's process, and it's something that we can take back to our companies. Maybe you take it back to your CEO. I call it the rare communication method. Recognition, affirmation, reassurance. Those are the 3 points of feedback to where we can truly expect excellence out of us and out of the people we work with. It's been an honor and a privilege to be with you today. I want to thank you for your attention and your time. Your best days are ahead. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chris. Great stuff there. I appreciate it very much. I'm sure everybody picked up some stuff here. Like I said, he's going to be over here signing books, so I'd encourage you to go grab one of those from him. We're going to just kind of close out the day here. As we mentioned this morning, all of you will be getting continuing education. We partner with the St. Louis University on that. So you'll be getting a certificate of the continuing ed sent to you. So just a quick reminder, you should see that. So I want to thank everybody. You know, doing a day like this really takes a lot of work from people that are presenting. I mean, everybody that you saw today spent time to do that. And these folks are very busy. You know, you're all very busy, but taking the time to pull those presentations together and share with you, we just can't thank those folks enough. So really appreciate the speakers that shared today. The sponsors that are here today, I hope that all of you got around to all of them and learned what their company's about, the services they provide, and how they might be able to help you in your organizations. There's just a lot of great people here today. So you all will get a post-event survey from me that will, that's information we use when we start building the next year's event. So I want to encourage all of you to fill that out so that we can learn about the day. You can always be better. We try to do the best we can at these things, but you can always be better. So tell us how you felt today and what you liked and what you think we can improve on. So with that, we've got a wheel of names that we're going to roll here. I've actually got $200 bills, and then we're going to get into the raffles, and then we're going to get into the drinks. So let's roll the wheel. Kobe, you got to be here. Are you here? All right, let's roll it again. David Smell. Hopefully I got your name right. Too bad for them, so good for you. Let her roll again. Very wise. Yes. They win then too. That's awesome. Let's roll it again one more time. I'm not going to try that one, sorry, but congratulations. All right, so how we're going to do this with the raffles, sponsors, I'd like to have you come up on this side, bring your raffle up. We'll have all the filled out passports, and we'll have you pick some of those out, and we'll announce the winners. So sponsors, if you can come up here, that would be great. While we're doing this, Chris will be signing books. Anybody wants books, go up and get in line there and just pay attention to us making announcements. Hey, Allie, we can get the bar going. Holy cow.
All right, since we're almost at Thanksgiving, and this is a great time to do the turkey trot, we've got some fun prizes here, including 3 of these turkey outfits. So we'll go first with the turkey outfits. Melissa Spicer. Melissa, if you're here, you're too ashamed to grab the turkey outfit. I will bring it to you. Here you go. Who's our next one here? Chad Morley from Henderson Engineers. Turkey outfit for you. All right. Dan Clark, City of Prairie Village. Turkey outfit for you. Dan, are you here? All right, we'll go to the next one if Dan's not here. Rob Grant with Henderson Engineers. All right. We have the Roto-Wipe. Say goodbye to costly toilet paper. You can use this Roto-Wipe. We've got Christy Estabine from T-Mobile. I don't know if I pronounced that right. The Roto-Wipe. there is a $50 gift card to Honey Baked Ham in there, but just a piece of paper, so make sure you look for it. Yeah. Altaf Uden with Kansas Secretary of State. I don't know if I pronounced that right.
Oh, right here.
All right. You've got the cat hat. And there is a $50 gift card to Honey Baked Ham in there. So and Paul Howard with National Advisors Trust. You've got the cheese printer.
Yep. We're going to have you go this way.
All right, thank you.
And for Sayer, we're doing a gift card. The winner's Inderaj Biswas. He won again. There you go.
Hey, thanks for coming, everybody. For Levi Ray and Shout, we got a bottle of wine and a bottle of bourbon, and the winner is A. Hassan. Is he here? Does he miss out? Is that how we do that? Can you give me an easier name this time? No, you did not. Oh, maybe so. Looks like Kyle Nix from Propio.
There he is. Come this way, Bob. You keep the card.
Hi guys, thanks for coming out today. So from Cohesity, we have a JBL speaker that you all need for the lake. The winner is Alan Jetson from Shalom House. Yay.
Thanks everybody for Smart Pro. We have a gift card to Red Door Grill. Bernalisi Samboy. I was close.
Thank you again, everyone, for coming out today. Security Aid Technologies, pleasure meeting many of you that came by the booth. The giveaway is a Crown Royal Kansas City Chiefs edition, going to TJ Quick from Jack Cooper.
For us, you get a signed football from members of the Chiefs. I have Sarah Firk or Funk. I can't tell if it's an R or an N. Are you here, Sarah?
Where from?
There she is.
That's a tough one to follow. Kenny Schrader from IP Pathways. Thanks to everybody stopping by the booth, and what a great day. So I have a surround sound wireless speaker set here, and I have James Guilford from T-Mobile. All right.
Hey everyone, Jeremiah at Fortinet. I just want to quickly say thank you so much. I had some really awesome conversations today, which is what this is about. Met some students that I'm excited for them to come into our industry because, as you all know, we need help. First one up for the bottle of bourbon, Tia Miller with Propio. All right. And then I actually have a second one here for Jessica Gowell at Johnson County KS Government. Got a Apple AirTag with so your dog doesn't get lost, or cat, or whatever.
Good afternoon, I'm Jeff Wilson with Arma Security, and we have a Mophie charging mat for Edwin Reese, Commerce Bank.
Hey guys, Tara Scriven from Cloudflare. I have a mug, and it's not just a normal mug. It heats up your coffee to the perfect temperature. You're not gonna burn your tongue, but it's gonna stay warm all day. So, not that I've tried this, but the lucky person that gets to try it is Mark Schmidtberger. Mark Schmidtberger.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming out today. So from Okta, we have a Bose Bluetooth speaker, and that's going to Kyle Hayden of Patterson Family Foundation.
Hello folks, Matt Alexander here with ACS, Alexander Cybersecurity Solutions. We're giving away a free month's worth of our cyber risk management monitoring service to the winner. But if that doesn't excite you enough, a Super Bowl hat from the Kansas, defending champion, going for the three-peat Kansas City Chiefs, goes to Sean Miller of Community America. Woo.
Hi everyone, Linda with Wiz. I am giving a $100 gift card to your favorite local restaurant, and I have Matt Gage. So.
All right, that's a wrap for us today. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. We know you're busy. We got book signing going on over here. We got drinks over here, and we'll have hors d'oeuvres out in the back there. So thanks again. Appreciate it. We'll see you again next year.